Welcome to Premier League Matchday 28 predictions. We had a fun one last week, and by the way, Tottenham Hotspurs just lost 4-1. Yeah, on Sunday, so embarrassing loss for Spurs, but not a good way to start in the Igor Tudor era. We began on Friday. Now, this video has been recording today on Wednesday, so I'm doing this. I'm doing predictions early as possible. So, starting off with Friday, 20th place Wolves versus third place Aston Villa at 3 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Wolves coming off a tough, competitive game, by the way, but lost to Crystal Palace 1-0. Going up against Aston Villa, who had a game that they should have beaten, and they had a tough one, dropping points in a 1-1 draw to Leeds United. They're going to play in Wolves. And listen, Wolves, they don't have nothing to play for. I'm guessing they're just going to get relegated sometime in match day 30th or 31st. But I'm going to go Villa winning it 2-0. On Saturday, you got 8th place Bournemouth versus 12th place Sunderland at 7:30 a.m. Eastern on USA Network. Bournemouth coming off a 0-0 draw to West Ham, which, hey, at least they're still in the mix of Europe, contention for Europe. But going up against Sunderland, who went from question title contenders, European questions, to now they're in half of the table in 12th place after losing to Fulham 3-1. And listen, for Sunderland, I don't see them. They're not going to get relegated. They're still going to be safe. They just need to put some big results if they're going to at least finish the season in top 10. I think that's what they'll be focusing on. So here, this could go either way. I think this could go a draw. I'm going to go with draw. Give me a 1-1 draw. 6th place Liverpool versus 18th place West Ham at 10 a.m. Eastern on USA Network. Liverpool coming off a 1-0 win against Nottingham Forest. It could have been 2-0 win if they didn't win offside, but McAllister scores the game winner 1-0. Going up against West Ham, as I mentioned earlier, they had that draw to Bournemouth, but it does feel like they are still in a chance for them to stay alive and hopefully get promoted to the Premier League. And take a look at this game. West Ham, I don't see you guys get back on track after that good fight against Bournemouth. Give me a West Ham 0, Liverpool 3. Then what could be an interesting one, a real intriguing one, 11th place Newcastle versus 9th place Everton at 10 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Newcastle coming off a tough loss to Manchester City 2-1. And in the Champions League, they have qualified to the next round of the Champions League, which is the round of 16. So congratulations to Newcastle. They'll play either Chelsea or Barcelona. If I were to say what would Newcastle's best match, it would probably hopefully be Barcelona. But that's the Champions League. Going up against Everton, who had a tough loss to Manchester United in their newly in Dickerson Stadium. So going to St. James's Park, this is going to be very interesting because Everton, they could still be in the mix of European contention, but they're going to have to put some big results here. And I love where Newcastle is right now, just where they are from the Champions League to Premier League. I'm going to go Newcastle. I think it's going to be a real good one. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Newcastle win. 19th place Burnley versus 7th place Brentford at 10 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Burnley just put up a good fight against Chelsea to make sure that Chelsea drop points, but for them to at least make sure they stay alive with a 1-1 draw. Going up against Brentford, who had a tough loss against Brighton 2-0. And again, the teams who are in the top 10, they're in the conversation of Can they make it to European contention? And is there an opportunity for those clubs? This is one that Brentford needs to win, a must-win game for the Bees. Uh, but by the way, Burnley is going to be one that everyone will keep an eye on. So I'm going to go with a Brentford win, but it's not going to be easy. Give me a 2-1 Brentford win. Then 15th place Leeds United versus second place Manchester City at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Leeds United, as mentioned earlier, got a huge result at Villa Park, 1-1 to Aston Villa. While for Manchester City, on the other hand, they got a huge 2-1 win over Newcastle, and they're knocking at the door to Arsenal that we're just right behind you. Unfortunately, the North London derby didn't help them, at least for 2 points, because now Arsenal's still 5 points ahead of them. So here's what I'll say. One, Man City should obviously beat Leeds, right? Leeds United just had Aston Villa drop points 1-1 draw. Can they do it in their fortress? And it's being played in Leeds United's home stadium. The crowd is going to be great. I don't see this. I think it's going to be very close, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. Manchester City wins it 2-1. Then on Sunday, 14th place Brighton versus 17th place Nottingham Forest at 10 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Brighton just got a huge result against Brentford 2-0, and hopefully that keeps off the pressure of Fabian Hurtselat, which, by the way, he'll probably still be the manager to keep an eye on during sacking day. Going up against Nottingham Forest, who debuted Victor Pereira in the Premier League as their coach. And there were some frustrations to Nottingham Forest after their loss to Liverpool. It's just like his reaction going, yep. I think this is what I think Forest should pull off a big upset. I'm going to go with Forest. I think they do get something in this one. I like Forest upset Brighton 2-1. 10th place Fulham versus 16th place Tottenham at 9 a.m. Eastern on USA Network. Fulham just got a huge road win against Sunderland 3-1 and still in the mix for European contention. Going up against Spurs, who debuted their new manager, Igor, and unfortunately lost in the North London derby 4-1 to Arsenal. The same score. Yeah, Spurs, I know your season's not going very well. And the bad news is that your guys are not going to get relegated. For me, bad news is just do not lose again. I think Spurs should get back on track, but Fulham, again, Craven Cottage, it's really tough to play. I'm going to go with Spurs prevailing at 2-1. 4th place, Manchester United versus 3rd place, Crystal Palace at 9 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Manchester United still in top 4 in that 4th place spot. Hopefully, it would hopefully get them enough to return to the Champions League, which would be a great turnaround from last year after their win against Everton 1-0. Going up against Crystal Palace, who won against Wolves, but it was not like a 2-1, 2-0, 3-0 kind of a game. It was a 1-0 win. Yeah. The Eagles need to keep going. They have to win because at least they need to finish at least maybe 11th place. I'm going to go Manchester United. They should win this one 2-0. All right, the match day of the week. It is another London derby. It is 1st place Arsenal against 5th place Chelsea, 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Arsenal got a huge North London derby win against Tottenham 4-1, while their rivals, on the other hand, had that tough result 1-1 to Burnley, and they're right behind Manchester United for the battle for the Champions League spot. Listen, if we're right now talking Champions League, to me, my top 4 would be Arsenal, Man City for sure. I think Villa is still going to get in there. And that 4th spot is probably going to come down to either Chelsea, Manchester United, or Liverpool. But if I have to pick one of them, I think it's going to be Chelsea getting that fourth spot, just where their schedule is right now. But this game is must-win game for Chelsea because they want to get into that top four. But for Arsenal, they need to hold that first place spot and get them at least enough to get them for where they want to be. And this should be good. This should be a real fun one. This is being played in the Emirates. I think Arsenal, after their big win against Spurs, this is where they cannot afford to drop points. Chelsea will play competitive in this one, but I think Arsenal prevails, and I like Arsenal winning it 2-1 against Chelsea in the London Derby. That's it for Premier League Match Day 28 predictions. If you're not seeing my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news.